Okay, so we've got another film then with also rich people killing poor people thinking they can get away with it, but for slightly different reasons, Scott. So, will we move on to Ready or Not from last year?
Yes, which I wanted to catch up with. Remember back when some studio executive had a particularly ketamine-fueled night out and woke up to find out they'd commissioned a film based on the board game Battleships? Seemed like an awful idea at the time, but of course the remarkable commercial and critical success that it presumably must have had has opened up a valuable new market for Hollywood to mine. Literally anything. Anything someone somewhere might remember in some fashion. Monopoly? Sure, why not? Tetris, apparently, although I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a joke or not. Anyway, the point I'm skirting around is that this is a movie adaptation of Hide and Seek, which sounds silly, but so did Game Night, and that turned out to be great, so let's see if this shares more of its quality or Battleships. So, actually, the setup is perhaps unsurprisingly very straightforward. Samara Weaving's Grace has just married into the rich board game dynasty of the Dumas family, specifically scion Alex, played by Mark O'Brien. This was in spite of Alex's warning that his family is weird. Not just conventionally rich person weird, although there's plenty of that, but more specifically, they believe that their success is due to an old tradition, a pact, if you will, where any new addition to the family must play a game randomly selected by a mysterious antique box on midnight of the wedding. Something harmless, like chess maybe. Unfortunately for Grace, she draws hide and seek. The Dumas family have a few house rules for this game, specifically locking all the doors and windows of that house, and then hunting and killing the hidey under non-specific threat of terrible vengeance for breaking with tradition. There's no crazy like rich person crazy. So, off Grace goes trying to hide, dodge, and avoid the Dumas clan and their selection of weaponry. Said family including Adam Brody, Henry Cerny, Andy McDowell, Nicky Guadagni, John Ralston, and a handful of others who, McDowell accepted, I don't think I could have picked any of these people out of a lineup, but regardless, they all handle the roles quite well with the complete lack of subtlety that something like this would demand. Now, to my surprise, I rather enjoyed this. It's almost relentlessly paced, and you will never be all that far away from something delightful happening, like someone being grotesquely shot with a crossbow bolt, or an annoying wee kid getting their coupon stamped. But, now, there's a certain subset of people who will find that delightful, of course, admittedly, but yes, in terms of content and tone, this is aiming for something like The Cabin in the Woods, although this is better, or The Evil Dead 2, although this is not as good, but really, what is? It has a comedy, action, horror vibe that's a right old laugh, and no mistake, Governor, assuming you're on its wavelength. If you're looking at this in a film critic-y kind of way, there's plenty of points that you could bring up to deduct your Meta-Tomato points from. The characters are very broadly and very shallowly drawn. There's no real attempt at meaning or any deep thought on the human condition. However, I don't think that's a particularly relevant or helpful way to look at something like this. It's taking a very silly premise and simply having an inordinate amount of fun with it. It is trash, but it is enjoyable trash. Samara Weaving's excellent, hugely relatable and sympathetic at the outset, and all the more sympathetic by the end of things. I felt a little bit skeeved out, but there's a few moments where they're maybe going a little bit too far into body horror, torture porn territory, which stylistically felt like scenes left over from a very early draft that hadn't decided to become a comedy quite so hard. Just kind of focused on it for a little bit too long, and it kind of didn't really fit in with the rest of the film's vibes. But
like the bit in the gate.
Exactly that bit.
I was wincing watching that section.
Which, I mean, it's actually really effectively done, but it just shouldn't be in the film at that point. I don't think it's not... That's not a strong enough concern for me to diminish my overall opinion on it. It is not a classic, and I suspect I will never think of it again after editing this podcast down.
Yeah.
But it was a highly entertaining hour and a half that was frequently very funny indeed, assuming your humour skews that way, and I can't say much more about it than that.
Yeah, my first point I'd like to make is it was 90 minutes, well, like 94 or something.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's all it needed to be. It was nice and tight. Didn't
outstay its welcome. No particularly long stretches of dead air for no particularly good reason. Yeah.
That weird indulgence nowadays of just like making films at least 2 hours for no good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of bits like the gate thing we mentioned, Scott, and the bit of their hand as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm wincing. It's like really effective, but it almost doesn't fit with the rest of the film. I don't think this film's got anything to say at all. It's a confection, but I found it really entertaining. I wasn't expecting anything of it or not, of it at all. Sorry, I don't think I'd even heard about this, and I just long ago stopped. If I see a trailer, I see a trailer, but I stopped like following film news because I just heard like, what is out? this is out. I will watch this. It is out. It serves me quite well because I've got more chance of seeing a film with very little foreknowledge of it, which can help in a lot of ways. So this I had no concept of at all when I watched this. Well, that was quite fun, and I cackled a good few times, like I do it ridiculous over the top fans, like people hitting crossbow bolts through the head. I admit I am slightly worried about what it says about me that I laugh so hard about those sort of things so often, but I think I'm pretty well adjusted, so I'm pretty sure it only happens in fictional stuff like this. It's not all great acting wise, so I'm not really convinced of the father, Henry, is it Cerny?
Yeah.
Henry Cerny. Also, that terrible performance from the old woman, the one with a face that you'd never tire of driving a truck over.
Yeah.
Terrifying woman.
It's one of those performances I couldn't quite judge if I think it's intentionally that way, because obviously there's something wrong with her, and that's what it's going for. But it's still quite annoying. But yes,
I had this similar thoughts. Like it's so over the top, and I think perhaps intentionally over the top. But because nobody else's performance is, it really stands out.
Yeah. But
it's I don't know. That performance was just so odd, and there's something so unlikable with that woman's face and facial expressions. I don't have a lot to say because there's a lot to say. It's fun.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't really know what to expect from it at all. But then, like, quite quick, I realised, black comedy, brilliant, that's so my thing. It'll probably never trouble my mind again, same as you. I doubt I'll ever watch it again, but it's certainly worth watching at least once. It's a lot of fun. I do appreciate that it's like a film that's like, right, we'll need to be about 90 minutes, let's make it about 90 minutes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to say, because it says so often, it's like, I don't mind long films if they're worthy of being long. It's just comedy is actually the worst genre for it in the last maybe 10 years or so. Comedies which were fairly regularly a 90-minute thing, like they kind of becoming so self-indulgent and stretching out to 2 hours or more for no good reason. It's not that they've added any extra jokes in there.
Yeah, I struggle a lot with any comedy that's more than 90 minutes. I can feel my interest waning so rapidly after that point, and it's hurt quite a lot of films, even films that aren't like strictly just comedy, but things like that Ghostbusters remake was one point where I think they obviously had a fairly divisive critical reception. I'm sure if you just chopped about half an hour out of that and cut out some of the interminable and awful improvisation scenes that were done that went nowhere. It was just talking and talking. Cut that down to about 90 minutes, and it would have been a solid film, and I would have liked it a lot more than it did.
That's exactly the one that was in my mind, Scott. Sorry, was Ghostbusters 2016, because it's so self-indulgent. It's unnecessarily long. It's some of the self-indulgent bits are the clear improvisation bits. And actually, there are two Paul Feig films I was thinking about. One is Bridesmaids, which I like a great deal, but that's a 2-hour film. I think the version on Blu-ray is even longer. And it's like, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Tighten up a bit.
Yeah.
But this film's like, no. I was like, we know exactly how long we need to be. It's a nice, comfortable length. It just bombs all on nicely. Yeah. Really entertaining, funny. I really like Samara Weaving. I don't think I've seen before in anything. Not that I didn't bother looking up on IMDb, but she didn't look familiar to me. So it kind of looked like knock-off Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
The thought that came to my head at the start, and I couldn't really shake it. But it's fun.
Yes, just to reiterate, highly recommended if your sense of humour skews that way. Lots of nice little quick fires, little gags slipped in there, as well as the broader stuff. Doesn't really miss in any of the jokes that it's trying to land. From what I can see, it has a fairly limited set of goals that it's laid out at the start of it, but it's nailed them all pretty much perfectly. So yes, highly recommended.